Nobody planned this. Nobody sat down in a boardroom and decided the world needed a new profession called content creator. Nobody wrote a business plan. Nobody filed a patent. The entire industry was built by accident. By amateurs. By people who had absolutely no idea what they were doing. And who mostly failed completely before anyone figured out there was money in it. The internet existed for years before anyone thought to put themselves on it. Early websites were directories, databases, academic papers. The idea that a private individual might publish their own thoughts daily, for strangers to read, was not merely unusual. It was considered bizarre behavior. The first blogs were not called blogs. They were called online diaries. The people who kept them were considered, at best, eccentric, at worst, deeply unwell. The word blog did not exist until 1999. It was coined accidentally. Jorn Barger called his website a weblog in 1997. A log of the web. A list of links he found interesting. Peter Merholz shortened it to blog as a joke in his website's sidebar. Nobody asked him. Nobody voted on it. The entire industry is named after a throwaway joke in a sidebar that nobody was reading. The first bloggers wrote for audiences of zero. Literally zero. Web traffic measurement barely existed. Most early bloggers had no way of knowing whether anyone was reading at all. They wrote into a void. Some of them did this for years. The ones who kept going were not optimists. They were, by clinical definition, people who could not stop. Monetization did not exist. The concept of paying someone to write on the internet was not merely unusual in 1999. It was incoherent. The internet was free. Everything on it was free. The idea that someone might pay to read a personal diary was treated with the same seriousness as paying someone to talk to you at a bus stop. The first bloggers who attempted to accept donations were publicly mocked. Several received emails explaining to them that charging for internet content was morally wrong. Google AdSense launched in 2003. For the first time, a blogger could place advertisements on their website and receive money when visitors clicked them. The first month of earnings reports from early adopters were shared publicly. The numbers were so small they became a joke. Bloggers celebrated earning $4 in a month. Screenshots of 11-cent payments were posted as achievements. The entire ecosystem was operating at a scale that, by any rational measure, made no economic sense whatsoever. And then cats appeared. The role of cats in the creation of the influencer economy is not metaphorical. It is literal and it is documented. Icon has Cheeseburger launched in January 2007. It was a single image of a cat with poorly spelled text. It received 500,000 views in its first day. Its creator, Eric Nakagawa, had no content strategy, no monetization plan, no team. He was a web developer in Hawaii who found an image funny and posted it. Within 2 years the site was generating millions of dollars in advertising revenue. Nakagawa sold it for $2 million in 2007. He had owned it for 7 months. The industry looked at this and drew the correct conclusion for entirely the wrong reasons. The lesson was not, find something genuinely funny and share it. The lesson that circulated through early internet culture was, cats equal money. What followed was one of the largest coordinated misreadings of a market signal in the history of media. Thousands of people attempted to replicate the cat photo formula. Almost none of them succeeded. The ones who succeeded did not do so because of cats. YouTube launched in 2005. The first video uploaded was 18 seconds of a man at a zoo talking about elephants. It received almost no attention. The platform was designed for sharing home videos. Not for careers. Not for audiences. Not for revenue. The founders did not predict that people would spend years of their lives producing content for it. The founders did not predict most of what happened next. The first YouTube creators were not influencers. They were people with cameras and too much time. The format was accident and repetition. Upload something. See if anyone watched. Upload something else. There was no playbook. There was no industry. There was no word yet for what they were doing. When early YouTubers attempted to explain their hobby to family members, the most common response was concern. The word influencer did not enter common usage until approximately 2016. For the first decade of professional content creation, nobody had a job title. Tax forms were a recurring crisis. Creators described themselves as self-employed without being entirely sure what that meant in their context. The first generation of successful YouTubers had no agents, no contracts, no legal frameworks, no healthcare, no retirement plans, and no institutional knowledge to draw from. They built the industry and the infrastructure simultaneously while also producing content weekly and responding to comments and managing communities and negotiating brand deals with corporations who also had no idea what they were doing. The first influencer marketing campaigns were disasters on both sides. Brands handed products to creators with no brief, no approval process, and no understanding of why the audience trusted the creator in the first place. Creators accepted money with no understanding of disclosure law, which did not yet clearly apply to them. The Federal Trade Commission issued its first guidance on influencer disclosure in 2009. Almost nobody read it. Almost nobody followed it. The entire economy was operating on handshakes, good faith, and mutual ignorance. Today, influencer marketing is a $21 billion industry. There are university courses, there are agencies, there are contracts with penalty clauses and content approval windows and exclusivity periods. There are creators who employ teams of editors, managers, lawyers, and strategists to produce what appears to be one person casually talking to a camera. The cat photo that started all of this is still online. It has no strategic framework. It has no production value. It has no disclosure statement. It is a picture of a cat asking for a cheeseburger in grammatically incorrect English. It is the founding document of a $21 billion industry. Nobody planned that either.